You cannot, for example, discuss my people, and you are the deputy president who is supposed to be the representation of national unity. It gets to that core that you get a situation whereby you discuss everyone. And may I say, in politics, there is time for, we say in Kalenjin, there is time for everything. You know, if I take you, for example, when I was a speaker in County Assembly of Uasin Gishu, you know your troops. At that moment, you know your troops. Your troops are members of the county assembly. And they, may I finish? And they can send you home many times. So, with a very sharp mind, that's where you can't. Now, in the National Assembly and also the Senate, I think Gachagua missed a point. You miss a point that you are going for, you don't care what members of parliament are saying, you only care about what the people are saying. And there is time for everything. Now it is the time to work for the people. And when it comes to 2027, the same MPs you are despising that they have lost the ground, they will be able to go to the ground, they will be able to sit with opinion leaders, they will be able to convince everyone until a point whereby, because even I cannot tell you that where I'm sitting as the member of Soy constituency, I can start fighting my MCS. Well, Zach, I know I'll be creating trouble for myself because you know politics is local. So when you start touching local leaders, and you imagine that you can bypass them so that you can create your own, and you do, and you send them home. For sure, when around, if you come from Nyeri County, for example, if you have like 9 MPs, and all of them decide you have decided you are going to send them home, and they also decide they are going to send you home, then what happens?
Zach, does it interest you that while the Gen Zs demonstrated and asked President William Ruto to go, the same MPs will defend him and urge for more time? Why not express the same attitude towards the Deputy President so that if there's somewhere he has missed it, he'll be able to correct it within 3 years and not go for the impeachment, because that will destabilize the political landscape that is already a bit calm.
But is it the president going for impeachment of Gachagua? I'm not in this government, unlike my colleague, my brothers here. But as an independent, objective observer, is it the president going for impeachment? Is he going to vote? Is he going to even append signature in that motion?
Impeachment is a member.
Exactly, it's an assembly's affair. That is it. So, I think this is a separate matter that must be looked at it in that merit. The people who want the deputy president to leave office are the parliamentarians who have the power to veto that office and remove a rogue and an abuser of that office. And I'll tell you this, you have asked them a very important question. When the deputy president, who is current president, faced the same threat in 2019, we did not see William Ruto going to Tarbo. We didn't see him going to Soy. We didn't see him going to Bomet East. We didn't see him going to Kericho. We didn't see him going to Baringo and Nandi to incite the Kalenjin nation against President Uhuru Kenyatta. We didn't see that happen. On the contrary, we saw him marshalling support to the people who matter, the members of parliament. And I remember when the motion to impeach William Ruto as the deputy president was circulated, first of all, it had the requisite number of 117 because ODM, almost all ODM members had signed. But what did he do? He called all the MPs led by the majority leader then, Aden Duale, and he called them in his current residence, talked to them about the merit of removing him in office, the demerits and the political consequences for the country. And when they addressed the nation, Ruto did not speak. It is his MPs who vehemently said that if this motion comes to the parliament, it's dead on arrival. It should not even go anywhere. So the people who are watching and saying they want to impeach Ruto from a corner, they knew this thing is not going to happen because the stakeholders have said it is not going to happen. So when Deputy President go to Mount Kenya people to go and incite the masses, to go and incite the poor farmers, to go and incite the suffering families in Mount Kenya, and tell them, oh, Rocco, oh, Zach, oh, X. Okay, suppose my mother does not want Gachagua to go. So is he going to kill Zach? Because Zach is voting for him. This one indicts the character and the thinking of the Deputy President. It indicts him as a either I don't know to talk about his advice because perhaps he doesn't listen to advisors. Either he talks about his inability to strategically think, or something about his character is fundamentally flawed. Because when you go to masses, suppose you go to Muranga, you go to Nyeri, you go to Laikipia, and all the masses say, "Apana, usiende." What are they going to do? What is the stake of the masses? Mount Kenya people cannot stop either the impeachment of the Deputy President or the impeachment of the President. The people who can stop it are the stakeholders. And the stakeholders here is the National Assembly and the Senate. So the people he should be talking to is not the masses. Masses is only elevating political tension. He is setting up the people against the leaders, which of course, actually, MPs, you should add that as a ground for removal. Because that one is abusing the office by inciting Kenyans against their leader. Suppose they stone him. Suppose they ban his car on road.
You know, according to the Deputy President, you have been bribed at least 5 million for you to sign the impeachment motion. Have you received 5 million Kenya shillings?
No, don't ask that because they will give us two. They can give us 2. If you ask them on TV, they are going to give us. Because they have 5 million each. He should give us 2 and him 2. You and I, we can share that.
You know, that is very outrageous and extremely sad. A very sad matter coming from such a high ranking office of the RAND. Because there's nothing like that. There is no member of parliament who have received any coin to conduct this process. You know, he has been talking about impeachment over time for quite some time, almost 6 months or so. And when you talk about something for so long, probably it's going to happen. And I can assure you, Chacha, impeachment motion against the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya will be round tomorrow in Parliament, and it will take a very short period of time, and it will be cleared if 302 members of Parliament have signed, or members of National Assembly have signed. I think the best thing he can do is to resign as quickly as possible.
To resign?
That would be the best route for him to take. With that, he can be able to hold another office in future. If the impeachment succeeds, his fate will be sealed. He will not hold any public office moving forward.
Are you privy to information that the Deputy President was blackmailing the President on giving him 4,000 Kenya shillings per each voter?
It's actually more than that.
Per voter from the region? And did the President give him the money or not?
I am aware that there was that kind of blackmail, and it's not even 8 billion, it is more than 8 billion Kenya shilling, which he demanded to be given by the President.
From where?
I don't know, he can tell us where he wants that money to come from. But of course, the President told him that is not possible. He doesn't have such kind of money.
Honorable David Kiplagat, also for the record, 5 million is in a bank account. From who, by the way?
I wish I had such a sum, and for what reasons? You know, there are some things that that cannot be saved by monetary value. And I think, looking at the entire scenario, if it was the issue of money, I think the person who can be able to buy his way out is the Deputy President.
How?
Because at the Senate, you only need 20 MPs, 20 senators. And if you are saying now we have been given 5 million, why don't you do it 10?
So you want a counter offer?
Why don't you do a counter offer? So maybe just that's a joke, but what we want to say is that MPs are not for sale. This is something we are using our common sense. This is something we support this government for it to deliver. And they say when you have a sack of potatoes, when one potato is bad, it can lead to, it can mess up the entire sack. So for us to be able to to have a clean house.
And still on you.
Yeah.
Remember the conversation around who was funding the Gen Z demos, and the president accused the Ford Foundation. The other day, the president was in the US and he made the Ford Foundation president.
You know, let us not mix.
And this time round, now Gachagua is the one on the firing end. His 5 allies
now
will be in court any minute from now. In fact, before just responding to that, let's listen to what the deputy president had to say as far as funding the Gen Z demos are concerned.
Hiyo nilisema iko shida. Si nilisema Mombasa iko shida somewhere. Because sasa president amesema ni Ford Foundation. Juzi ameenda kutembelea Ford Foundation. Sasa what are we saying as a country? Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya amecondemn Ford Foundation ndio ilitoa pesa ya kuleta maandamano Kenya. Ndio huyu wako Washington ameenda kuwatembelea. Sasa what are we saying? Unajua sasa ukijiuliza tuko wapi? Bora wanasema ni Kenyatta. Bora wanasema ni Gachagua. Bora wanasema ni nchi jirani. Which is which?
Which is which?
Because Chacha, I don't want to be a troll, but what I want to ask is, what is he saying? Yeah? What is he saying? Because basically, what is the...
I think he's questioning
what
here.
Is the, no, what, may I clear it? You cannot say by the president meeting the president of Ford Foundation, he has vindicated Ford Foundation. Because we are also becoming myopic in our thinking. The president met the Ford Foundation.
He hailed them for their efforts in strengthening Kenya's democracy.
Okay, don't worry. It is clear. It is clear from investigations that money and a lot of mobilization was done by people in the office of the deputy president. So it is clear, and the file has been approved by none other than the DPP.
Zach,
so
I'll be getting back to you.
May I finish?
Just on the same point, I want to say something.
May I finish?
Quickly.
In terms of the NGOs, that were sent money from the Ford Foundation, which they have been doing, but you realize from that month of Gen Z's movement, there were a lot of money that was sent to these NGOs that were advocating and sponsoring the Gen Z's.
Zach.
That is one. Secondly, we have documentary evidence to pin the office of the deputy president in terms of organizing and funding the issues of Gen Z's. And lastly, if for the first time, we know we have been in this Nairobi where demos are happen for a very long time. We know where the demonstrators comes from. They come from around Kibera, that area. But for the first time in this Gen Z demonstration,
that's dangerous providing.
In this Gen Z demonstration, this area, they were coming from where? From Thika Road. For the first time. What happened?
Honorable, I think the question here from the deputy president is, if the president accused Ford Foundation publicly, my office is in Karen, Ford Foundation is in the US. He just wants to understand how he's linked with the Ford Foundation. And also the fact that Ruto made the same Ford Foundation, yet he had accused them of funding the Gen Z demos to stabilize the country.
Let me say this, Chacha. The financiers of June this year demonstration were from different parts of the world. Some of the money was moving from here, from this country, finding its way in UK, in Canada, in New Zealand, in Israel, and they are bases which were set in some of these countries for that money to come back to this nation to facilitate the demonstrations. That's point number one. That's a fact. That's something which has been proven. These are not rumors. That is a fact. Number two, there are elements within the government which took advantage of JNC protests. They infiltrated the JNC protests. They took advantage of it. They brought in criminal element in the process of the demonstration, and that is where the Deputy President office has been accused. Number two. Number three is that President True met the president of Ford Foundation. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with meeting someone who you are accusing? You need to understand you are supporting many NGOs in the town. Please, if the NGOs you are supporting, support them for the good cause, not to destabilize the country.
According to trusted sources that spoke to me last week, in fact, it's believed that when initially the president accused Russia of funding the Gen Z demos, there were, of course, calls and threats from that country that they will now indeed fund the demos. They were not funding them. So in responding or appearing, of course, to divert again the shift from, or the focus from Russia, it's where now the president chose to accuse at least his friends from the US. And now there's even an attempt to amend that relationship by requesting that the president of the Ford Foundation comes to this country, have a meeting with the president, and they refused. They told President Ruto, it's for you to come. So was President Ruto, you know, having accused his friends from the US, gone to, you know, to at least amend the relationship, and perhaps even posting of the photos while meeting was part of the demands that if at all you are remorseful, then also take it to the public and clear us.
Okay, let me pick from where Mheshimiwa Ruko has said that there's nothing wrong when you meet your accusers. That one is allowed because you could be meeting them of apologizing. And I think in this matter, the president, if did not apologize to Ford Foundation, should apologize to Ford Foundation. I think if he was not apologizing, then he should apologize. Because, you know, and I told you here before the debate began, who is the president? When the president speaks, who is speaking? Where is the source of his information? This is very important because an overzealous PS cannot just gobble up a number of NGOs, put them in a list, then determine where these NGOs receive money. And when he realized that some of these NGOs that receive money are headed by people who are criticizing government, and they receive money from, among other things, Ford, then they go and tell the president thoughtlessly, aimlessly, and without consideration that Ford is funding this thing. You know, Ford Foundation in Kenya for a long time has been under the leadership of Mutunga. And because CJ Mutunga was on the streets, and Boniface Mwangi's whatever organization is called, receives money. Some overzealous PS who want to excite the president, take the list to him and tell him, Mr. President, these people have funded Zach, and Zach criticizes you a lot, has funded Chacha. Chacha is a pro-opposition, takes this. So these people are funding from. Then the president, without due diligence, announces somewhere in Bomet that wazungu ndio wanamsumbua. Then continues to say how wazungu wanaitwa Ford Foundation. So when the president sits down with the embassy, the ambassador is an overzealous lady, comes to him and tell him, sir, do you know what you have just said? We have been here helping the government to operationalize judiciary. Because let me tell you, I think one of the largest sponsors of judicial reforms in this country is Ford. One of the largest people who put money in the health sector, besides Global Fund, is Ford. So the president is told, this money is true, we have money. We bring money in Kenya, we bring money in Africa, Asia, everywhere. But for Kenya, Mr. President, This is the money, and our money is structured.
So how Gachagwa's allies linked to this?
No, let me come to that one. Let me first of all clear the forward, because it is also important that when our president makes an error, we must punish the people who led him to making that error. He has, I'm telling you, the president has some bureaucrats, yes, and I'm saying this to him so that he can listen. The bureaucrats who surround the president currently are taking him to a ditch every single day because they are misleading him for their rent-seeking interest. Rent-seeking interest. Somebody wanted to beat Ford, and they do not want Ford to be beaten in a certain way. So they come and accuse. These people wanted to bring insurrection.
Allow me to cut you short. We take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'll be getting a response on how Gachagwa's allies, 5 of them, including 2 members of parliament, are linked to the funding by the Ford Foundation. We take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.